A major pattern shift is about to lock in place. Arctic air is coming south. Temperatures will drop to dangerous levels. And this isn't a quick cold snap that S here today, gone tomorrow. This is a sustained freeze that settles in and stays for 7 to 10 days. Right now, conditions across the United States tell the story of what is about to happen. Eastern Colorado woke up to 17 degrees this morning. Wind chills down around 5 degrees. That Arctic air mass sitting over the northern plains is about to expand south and east. Compare that to the Gulf Coast. Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi have been dealing with warm, humid conditions. Temperatures running 10 to 15 degrees above normal. Mississippi saw severe weather and tornado warnings earlier today. That contrast between Arctic air in the north and tropical warmth in the south creates the setup we are looking at. South Carolina has been experiencing rainy conditions, near record warmth this week. Missouri has been quiet. Temperatures around 40 degrees, calm conditions, almost boring for winter. South central Wisconsin was seeing rain this morning. Some areas are already reporting snow starting to fall as that transition happens. In Maryland, I know many of you have been waiting for accumulating snow. 2 years without a major snowstorm in some areas. This pattern has potential for the interior and higher elevations, but the immediate setup favors the Great Lakes and upper Midwest more than the coastal areas. We'll get into the specifics. The meteorological pattern that is developing is textbook blocking. And when I say blocking, I mean high-pressure systems positioned in ways that lock weather patterns in place for extended periods. Current analysis shows a strong high-pressure ridge building along the west coast. At the same time, high pressure is developing over the North Atlantic. When you get blocking on both sides of the continent like this, the cold air has nowhere to go but south through the middle and eastern United States. The jet stream is responding to this blocking pattern. Instead of flowing west to east in a relatively flat configuration, it's diving deep into a trough over the central and eastern states. That trough is the highway for Arctic air. Multiple meteorological indices confirm this pattern. The Arctic Oscillation, or AO, measures the strength of Arctic air containment. When the AO goes negative, Arctic air spills south. Current data shows the AO dropping into negative territory this weekend and remaining negative through the end of January. The North Atlantic Oscillation, or NAO, measures blocking patterns over the Atlantic. Negative NAO values indicate blocking that allows cold air to penetrate the eastern United States. We re-seeing the NAO trend negative starting this weekend and persisting for 7 to 10 days. Both the GFS model and the European model show agreement on these patterns. When major forecast models agree on atmospheric indices and blocking patterns at this range, confidence increases significantly. This isn't a one model showing something unusual. This is consensus. The pattern doesn't reach the most extreme negative values possible. The NAO isn't dropping to -4. What that means is the coldest air will primarily impact the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and Northeast, with some cold pushing into the Tennessee and Kentucky valleys. The Deep South and Gulf Coast will see cold, but not the sustained extreme cold that regions further north will experience. Let me walk you through the timeline and what this means for different regions. Today, through Wednesday, the pattern sets up. We in a transition period. The West Coast ridge strengthens. The Atlantic blocking develops. Cold air begins moving south out of Canada. Wednesday brings the first significant push. Snow develops across the Central Plains, moving into the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. This isn't a major snowstorm. This is what meteorologists call a clipper system. Alberta clippers, named because they originate in Alberta, Canada, and move quickly across the northern United States. Clipper systems typically bring 2 to 4 inches of snow. They fast-moving, efficient snow producers. They don't bring the heavy totals that coastal storms produce, but they add up when multiple systems move through in succession. Wednesday as clipper affects Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, northern Illinois, northern Indiana, northern Ohio. Snowfall totals of 2 to 4 inches. Some locally higher amounts where snow bands set up. The snow will be light and fluffy because of the cold air mass. That's easier to shovel than heavy, wet snow, but it's also more prone to blowing and drifting. Wind is a significant factor. Sustained winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour behind the cold front. Gusts to 40 miles per hour. When you combine fresh snow with wind like that, visibility drops quickly. Blowing snow creates whiteout conditions on open roads. What looks like 2 inches on your driveway becomes impassable drifts on rural highways. Thursday morning brings the coldest temperatures of this first push. High temperatures across the northern plains struggle to reach 0 degrees Fahrenheit. That S-18 Celsius. Overnight lows drop to 10 to 20 below 0 Fahrenheit in parts of the Dakotas, Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. Wind chill values drop to -20 to -30 degrees Fahrenheit across a wide area. The Great Lakes region sees wind chills of -10 to -20. Even into the Ohio Valley, wind chills reach single digits and near 0. This is dangerous cold. Exposed skin can develop frostbite in 10 to 15 minutes at these temperatures. This isn't the kind of cold where you run outside without a coat to grab the newspaper. This is the kind of cold that requires full winter gear for any time outdoors. Friday, the cold pushes east. The Northeast and Mid-Atlantic experience the temperature drop. High temperatures in the teens and low 20s Fahrenheit from Pennsylvania through New England. Another clipper system moves through, bringing an additional 2 to 4 inches of snow to the Great Lakes and interior Northeast. The pattern I am describing isn't one big storm. It's a series of systems, each bringing moderate snowfall with Arctic air behind each one. The snow doesn't melt between systems because temperatures never rise above freezing. It accumulates, it becomes compacted, it turns to ice in spots. Over an 8-day period from Wednesday through next Wednesday, snowfall totals add up. Northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, upper Michigan see 6 to 12 inches total. Some areas could see 1 to 2 feet by the time this pattern breaks down. The interior Northeast, particularly the higher elevations of the Appalachians, northern New England, also see significant accumulation. 6 to 9 inches for many areas. Higher elevations could approach 1 foot. The I-95 corridor from Washington through Philadelphia, New York, and Boston remains on the edge. These areas see cold temperatures, but the primary snow action stays inland. There is potential for a coastal storm to develop late next week, but that's 7 to 8 days away, too far out for specifics. The atmospheric setup is favorable, but exact positioning determines whether coastal cities see significant snow or just cold rain transitioning to snow. The weekend brings no relief. Saturday and Sunday, high temperatures across the northern tier remain at or below 0 degrees Fahrenheit in many locations. Wind chills Saturday morning reach -10 to -30 degrees across the upper Midwest. These are the coldest values of the season so far for most locations. The Great Lakes region sees single-digit highs. Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit, all looking at high temperatures in the 5 to 10 degree Fahrenheit range. Overnight lows drop below 0. This is the coldest stretch these cities have seen in several years. Even areas that don't normally experience extreme cold get a taste. The Tennessee and Kentucky valleys see high temperatures in the low 20s Fahrenheit. Overnight lows drop into the single digits. That's cold enough to stress infrastructure in areas where construction standards don't account for sustained freezing. Monday and Tuesday bring the second major cold punch. Another surge of Arctic air pushes south. This one may be stronger than the first. High temperatures Monday across the northern plains could reach -5 to -10 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind chills Monday morning could drop to -30 to -40 degrees in parts of Minnesota and the Dakotas. This is life-threatening cold, the kind of cold where car batteries fail, where water pipes freeze and burst, where being outside becomes dangerous within minutes. Schools close, businesses close. Travel becomes hazardous not because of snow, but because of cold. The pattern persists through the 19th and 20th of January. Multiple days where high temperatures never rise above 0 Fahrenheit across portions of the northern United States. Multiple nights where lows drop to -10 to -20 degrees. Even your high temperatures will be negative in some states, not wind chills. Actual air temperatures below 0 Fahrenheit for the warmest part of the day. That's rare, that's significant, that's a long-duration freeze that has impacts beyond just being uncomfortable. Beyond the 20th, extended forecast models show the blocking pattern beginning to weaken. The West Coast ridge starts to flatten. The Atlantic blocking begins to relax. Warmer air finally starts to work back into the pattern as February approaches. But through the end of January, this is the dominant pattern. Cold, sustained cold. The kind of cold that makes January feel like January used to feel decades ago. Let me put this in historical perspective. Many of you remember the polar vortex event of January 2019. That brought record cold to the Midwest. Chicago saw minus 23 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind chills dropped to minus 50 degrees. That was an extreme event, one of the coldest outbreaks in recent history. The current pattern wants to reach those extremes based on current model data. We're not looking at minus 50-degree wind chills across Chicago. We're looking at sustained cold in the minus 10 to minus 30-degree wind chill range. That's still dangerous. That still requires serious precautions. But it's not quite at the level of 2019. The blizzard of '78 is another reference point. That brought 3 feet of snow and 20 below zero temperatures to parts of the Midwest and Ohio Valley. Wind chills were life-threatening. That was a generational winter storm. This pattern brings significant cold and accumulating snow over multiple systems, but it's not a single catastrophic blizzard. It is a sustained winter pattern that delivers cold and snow in waves rather than one massive hit. Why make these comparisons? Because you deserve context. You've lived through winter weather before. You know what serious cold feels like. This is serious. This deserves preparation and respect. It's not the coldest outbreak in recorded history, but it is the coldest sustained pattern many areas have seen in several years. Now let's talk about what you need to do to prepare. First, understand that this is a duration event, not a single day. Preparing for one cold day is different from preparing for 7 to 10 days of sustained freezing. You need supplies that will last. You need backup plans if power goes out. You need to think through scenarios before they happen. Check your home heating system now. Make sure your furnace is working properly. Change the filter if you haven't recently. If you heat with oil, make sure your tank isn't running low. If you heat with propane, same thing. Running out of fuel in the middle of a sustained freeze is not the time to discover delivery trucks can get to you because of snow and cold. Protect your pipes. If you have pipes in exterior walls, unheated crawl spaces, or garages, they're vulnerable. Let faucets drip slightly when temperatures drop below zero. Moving water doesn't freeze as easily as standing water. Open cabinet doors under sinks to allow warm air to circulate around pipes. If pipes do freeze, don't use a blowtorch or open flame to thaw them. That's how houses catch fire. Use a hairdryer, heat lamp, or space heater. Work from the faucet back toward the frozen section. And if a pipe bursts, know where your main water shutoff is. Stock up on food and supplies. Not panic buying, rational preparation. If you get snowed in or don't want to venture out in dangerous cold, do you have enough food for 3 to 4 days? Bread, milk, and eggs are fine, but think about shelf-stable items, canned goods, pasta, rice, things that don't require refrigeration and can be prepared without electricity if power goes out. Medications. If you take prescription medications, make sure you have enough to last through this period. Don't wait until you read down to your last pill to refill during a cold snap. Batteries, flashlights, candles. If power goes out, you need light sources that don't require electricity. Test your flashlights now. Make sure batteries aren't dead or corroded. If you have a generator, make sure it's working. Test it before you need it. Never run a generator inside your home or in an attached garage. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people every winter. Run it outside, away from windows and doors. Have adequate fuel stored safely. For your vehicle, make sure your battery is in good condition. Cold weather is hard on batteries. If your battery is more than 3 or 4 years old, consider having it tested. A dead battery in your driveway is inconvenient. A dead battery when you re-strand it in cold is dangerous. Keep your gas tank at least half full throughout this period. Gas line freeze is rare with modern fuel systems, but having fuel to run your car for heat if you get stranded is important. Also, a full tank adds weight over your drive wheels if you drive a rear-wheel drive vehicle, improving traction in snow. Emergency kit in your car. Blanket, flashlight, jumper cables, ice scraper, small shovel, bag of sand or cat litter for traction, snacks, water. If you slide off the road or get stuck, these items could save your life while you wait for help. Dress appropriately when you must go outside. Layers. Multiple thin layers trap heat better than one thick layer. Base layer of synthetic or wool material that wicks moisture away from skin. Middle layer for insulation. Outer layer that's windproof and water-resistant. Cover your head. You lose significant body heat through your head. A good winter hat makes a huge difference. Gloves or mittens. Mittens are warmer because your fingers share heat. Gloves offer more dexterity. Choose based on what you need to do outside. Insulated, waterproof boots with good traction. If you must be outside for extended periods, cover your face. A scarf or balaclava protects exposed skin from frostbite. Watch for signs of frostbite. Numbness, white or grayish skin, firm or waxy feeling skin. Get inside immediately if you experience these symptoms. Watch for signs of hypothermia. Shivering, exhaustion, confusion, fumbling hands, memory loss, slurred speech. Hypothermia is a medical emergency. Call for help and get the person warm. Check on elderly neighbors, family members, anyone who might be vulnerable. Extreme cold is dangerous for everyone, but especially for the elderly, very young, and anyone with health conditions. Make sure they have adequate heat, warm clothing, and necessary supplies. Pets feel the cold too. Dogs still need to go outside, but limit time in extreme temperatures. Watch for signs of distress, whining, shivering, reluctance to walk, lifting paws off the ground. Ice balls can form between paw pads. Booties help if your dog will tolerate them. Cats should be kept indoors during extreme cold. If you have outdoor cats, provide shelter. Even feral cats need protection from life-threatening cold. For those in the primary snow zone, don tea, wait until snow is falling to prepare. If you have a snowblower, make sure it's fueled and running now. Fresh gas, oil checked, test it before you need it. Parts stores sell out of shear pins and belts when everyone's snowblower breaks at once. If you shovel, understand that multiple light snowfalls are different from one heavy snowfall. You'll need to shovel multiple times. Don tea let it accumulate to the point where it's unmanageable. Shoveling 2 inches 3 times is easier than shoveling 6 inches once, and it's much easier on your back and heart. Shoveling snow is physically demanding. Heart attacks during snow shoveling are common, especially among older adults or people who aren't regularly active. Take breaks. Don tea, overdo it. If you feel chest pain, shortness of breath, or unusual fatigue, stop immediately. For drivers, understand that this isn't just about snow. It's about ice. When snow falls and gets driven on, it compacts. When temperatures stay below freezing for days, that compacted snow turns to ice. Roads that were merely slippery become skating rinks. Black ice forms when temperatures hover around freezing. It's called black ice because it's nearly invisible on dark pavement. Bridges and overpasses freeze first because cold air circulates above and below the road surface. Slow down on bridges even when other roads seem fine. If you start to slide, don tea, slam on the brakes. Ease off the gas. Steer gently in the direction you want to go. Anti-lock brakes help, but they were not magic. They can overcome physics on ice. Leave extra following distance. On ice, it can take 10 times the normal distance to stop. The 2-second rule becomes a 20-second rule. If you can stop safely, you are following too close. If conditions are dangerous, don travel. No job, no appointment, no errand is worth your life. When authorities say stay off the roads, they mean it. Emergency crews can help other people if they rescuing drivers who shouldn't have been out. One note about Sunday's Bears playoff game in Chicago. Game time temperature is forecast around 5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind chill could be near 0 or below. If you re-attending, this isn't normal football cold. This is serious cold. Dress in layers, hand warmers, foot warmers, insulated boots, face covering, bring a blanket. You'll be sitting still for 3 hours in that cold. Looking at specific regions, the upper Midwest takes the brunt of this pattern. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, dealing with the coldest temperatures and the most persistent snow. This is your weather. You know how to handle it. But don tea, underestimate this because it is familiar. The duration makes it different. The Great Lakes region sees significant lake effect snow in addition to the Clipper systems. When Arctic air moves over the relatively warm waters of the Great Lakes, it picks up moisture and dumps it as snow on downwind shores. Buffalo, Cleveland, Erie, Milwaukee, Chicago, all areas that know lake effect snow well. This pattern is favorable for it. The Ohio Valley gets cold without quite as much snow as areas further north. But you are dealing with ice as temperatures fluctuate around freezing. Freezing rain is possible where warmer air briefly overrides the cold at the surface. Ice storms are more disruptive than snowstorms in many ways. Power lines come down, trees snap, roads become impassable. The Northeast sees cold with snow primarily in interior and higher elevation areas. The coastal cities might dodge significant snow from these clipper systems, but the cold still arrives. Boston, New York, Philadelphia, all looking at the coldest stretch of the season. There's potential for a coastal storm late next week, but that's too far out for specifics. The pattern is favorable. If a storm develops and tracks favorably, coastal areas could see significant snow, but coastal storms are notoriously difficult to predict more than 3 to 4 days in advance. Track determines everything. 50 miles makes the difference between rain and a foot of snow. The Mid-Atlantic sees cold pushing south. Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, the Carolinas. Not as extreme as the Great Lakes, but cold enough to be impactful. Overnight lows in the teens and 20s Fahrenheit. High temperatures in the 30s. For areas accustomed to milder winters, that's significant. The Tennessee and Kentucky valleys get a dose of cold, not sustained extreme cold, but enough to freeze pipes, stress heating systems, and create hazardous driving conditions. High temperatures in the 20s, overnight lows in the single digits, that's cold enough to matter. The Deep South and Gulf Coast see the cold arrive Friday and Saturday. Overnight lows drop into the 20s and low 30s Fahrenheit. That's freeze and hard freeze territory. Protect sensitive plants, cover exposed pipes, bring pets indoors. This cold doesn't last as long in these areas, but it's sharp while it's here. Florida, particularly northern and central Florida, sees temperatures drop into the 30s Fahrenheit. That is cold for Florida. Most Floridians don to own heavy winter coats, and that is fine. Layer what you have. Sweatshirt under a windbreaker works. Add a scarf and gloves if you have them. You are not outside for hours. You're outside for minutes, getting from your car to a building. The pattern finally breaks down as we approach February. Extended models show the West Coast ridge weakening. The Atlantic blocking relaxes. The jet stream flattens out. Warmer air begins working back into the eastern United States. But that's still 7 to 10 days away. Between now and then, this is the reality. Cold, snow in waves, the coldest sustained pattern many areas have seen in years. This is a serious weather pattern that requires preparation and respect. It's not the apocalypse. It's winter asserting itself after a mild start to the season. You've dealt with winter before. You know what to do. Do it now before the cold arrives, not after. Stay informed over the next several days. Forecasts will be updated as systems develop and the pattern evolves. What I have given you is the overall pattern and most likely scenarios based on current data. Specifics will be refined as we get closer. Check the National Weather Service website for your area. They provide official warnings and advisories. Local meteorologists have information tailored to your region. Multiple sources of information help you make informed decisions. If you found this information useful, I appreciate your time. The goal is accurate information without panic, without downplaying, with enough detail that you can prepare appropriately. This is serious. This is manageable. This is winter. Stay safe, stay warm, take care of your neighbors, take care of your pets, and remember, this pattern will break. By early February, we'll be talking about something else. Until then, prepare, stay informed.